feel like since it's going to be a fee, we just raise water rates and everybody should be able to.
That should be a vote.
Terry Kavner. David Roberts.
Here.
Mark Ham.
Here.
Glenn Lewis.
Here. Would you please stand and join me for the flag salute, please? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2 is the consent docket. Item A is receive and approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting held February 1st, 2016. Item B, approve and ratify claims and expenditures for FY 2015-2016 in the amount of $3,736,760.36.
Motion approved.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, clerk. We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
David Roberts.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 3 is discuss and consider options and costs regarding the implementation of curbside recycling and direct staff to proceed as appropriate. You guys have a number?
I'll just give you a little bit of information that we've been able to put together, if that is acceptable, Mayor.
Sure.
The discussion and the consideration of curbside recycling has been kind of around for quite some time now. Many of the cities in the metro area that are around us, all of the cities that are around us have curbside recycling. The systems that seem to be the most common in the metropolitan area today is the single stream, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever it is, pickup. Norman is doing this, Midwest City is doing this, Edmond is doing this, all have implemented this single stream curbside recycling. And I believe all those are bi-weekly within the last couple of 3 years. And so if this is something that we proceed with, this is probably the system that we would recommend. Actually, the contractor for all 3 of those cities is Republic Services or Allied Waste, who is the same contractor that we use on our commercial hauling. So we visited with them, and the projected cost of this, the way this works in all of those cities is there's a monthly fee per account or per house, single family house, let's say. And then the participation, everybody gets a cart, and then people participate or not. And just to give you a little bit of idea of what's out there right now, Edmond is paying $3 a month. They have just almost 28,000 single-family homes. Midwest City is $2.75. They have about 19,865 single-family homes. Norman's is the same service. Theirs is $1.96 a month. They have just over 29,000 homes. The difference there is that Norman, and I don't know exactly why, but Norman chose to supply the carts. So Norman purchased the carts at about $50-something per and provided those to the customers, but the Allied Waste is still picking those up. So that's a representation of what is going on out there. What the contractor tells me it would be, and more, it would be between $2 and $4 a month, depending on how often we pick up and the types of recyclable materials that we would require them to pick up. Based on what Edmond and Midwest City are doing, when I'm estimating or guesstimating for our size, about $3 a month per single-family house or per dwelling unit would be the charge.
And would that charge include the carts, I'm assuming?
Yes. Yeah, that would be a turnkey price, would include the carts. Bi-weekly pickup is probably what it would, that would be a price, I would think, for bi-weekly pickup, taking it to the landfill or to their separation facility out there and sending it to recycling.
And whether or not a household chose to recycle or not, they pay the $3. correct?
Yes. Yes,
Just
I
want to be
mean,
clear on
that is the case. Just some other numbers, which were pretty astounding numbers to me. Norman indicates that they have about 87% participation rate. That's very high in the industry. Norman's had recycling, as well as Edmond, various programs for a lot of years. Edmonds is right around 90% participation. That means that 90% of their households will participate in it at some point or another. They may not put it out every other week, but Midwest City has about a 60% rate. They're about the same number of carts that we would have. I would probably say we'd be closer to that than 80 or 90%, but certainly is something that public education processes and all that the contractors do and that have done for Norman, for Midwest City, for Edmond over time. You want to get that rate up as high as you can.
So with the, under this program, the individual household would be able to choose whether or not they participated in the service?
No.
They're not going to choose to get charged for it. They can choose to participate or not. They're going to get a cart. It's going to be blue or green or some other color than our cart, a 95-gallon cart, which is the big cart.
So like with one of the towns that has 60%, it's 100% available, but only 60% of them see fit.
Yes, and 60% in the industry is considered actually very good. 80, 90% that Edmond and Norman have is incredible, really, that many people participate. And then they get the cart, it's single stream, all of the recyclable materials go in, there's no separation required. And then Allied Waste in this case would come by every other week on your normal pickup day is what it would likely be, and pick it up and take it away.
Now, on our utility bills, we have a situation where low-income senior citizens, their bill is capped or something. Is that correct?
Yeah, they get half rates on, I believe it's on sanitation and water. It's one of those, but you can set those anything that you wish, of
My
course.
thoughts are if a person's already in that program, then maybe we could give them the same kind of break on this program.
That would be an option, certainly.
They have to make less than, I think it's $20,000 a year.
We upped it to
changed
32.
30, yes.
32
We
per
changed it
household.
last year, I believe, $32,000.
For seniors, there's a
Yeah.
number of those
Right.
around. So.
Okay.
What would you, I think I heard you indicate that the fee was dependent upon the type of, what was recyclable. So, I mean, this is a minimum, which would be paper, plastic,
I don't know all the numbers.
biohazard, I mean, we talked
Not
about
household.
needles.
No, nothing that's considered household hazardous waste, just the typical recyclable materials that you can currently take to our recycling facility over on Telephone Road, paper, steel, aluminum, all kinds of the plastics, the normal recyclable products.
Would you see that facility on telephone closing if this were to be implemented?
Not completely. The cardboard recycling, I mean, cardboard would be something that could be recycled, but it's not going to fit in these big containers. And so probably have cardboard still over there is what I would anticipate. But I wouldn't think we would need to have the facility open and have it staffed like we do currently. So we'd probably repurpose that at some point. The city doesn't get any money out of that. Each time the Allied Waste, in this case, comes out and dumps one of those recyclable containers, they take it, put another one down there, and we pay a tipping fee, whatever it is, a couple $100 every time they come out.
And has that been a pretty successful facility? Is it busy?
Very much so. I mean, there are a lot of people in the community that want to recycle and take stuff over there. We get a lot of stuff taken over there. It's convenient for people who are around or can go over there during the day, and not as convenient if they're working out from the community or whatever. But it has been remarkably successful.
If this were to be put before the voters of Moore, what is the latest time that the city needs to know to be able to get the language and things to the election board to have that done?
Well, I believe it's 60 days, but you have to have it in 60 days before a given election. So it depends on when it would be put out to a vote, if that's what you all decide to do.
I think we would want to do that probably during the presidential election when you have everybody go vote.
Well, I think in the presidential election in early March.
Well, you're
Well,
talking
that's
about
the primary, he's talking about the actual election.
Yeah, November.
general election.
Well, just something that I would like to know, and I know Commissioner, y'all are early, you're early in your working through the budget for next fiscal year. What is the projected increase of our utility water rates for our citizens? We talked about stormwater runoff from when it rains, and that the city is going to actually have to address that as our water runs to Lake Thunderbird, and that's the city of Norman and the city of Dale City, they're drinking water, and we're going to have to do something if that water isn't clean enough or not meeting some standard before it's dumped into the creek. And I would just like to have as exact as you can what any other possible increases in sewer, water fees would be.
I obviously don't have that information now.
Right.
We'll know that the further we get into the budget process. If you do decide to put it out in the November ballot, then you won't have to call that election until normally probably late August or so, and we'll be long past the budget by then. But let me also say that some other things are going to be as far as the general election. The city's quarter-cent parks sales tax would be up for consideration for renewal by our voters if that's the way we move. So that would be on that ballot potentially.
Well, we have the primary probably, late July, early August, all the legislative.
There are only certain election dates that municipalities can put things on the ballot, and I don't know what those dates are right now, Dave, as to whether we can choose those dates or not.
You know, I think there, as much support as there is with the recycling and so forth, I hate to kick it to the end of the year, which is what we do if we go to the general election.
We can certainly find out what would be the quickest if you want to know that. In terms of the general election also, there's the possibility of the 1 cent statewide sales tax issue being on the ballot. So these are just issues that are out there that will go into the mix, if you will, in terms of the decision making, I would think.
Well, I think it's important to put it out to the voters. I put some stuff out there on Facebook and Twitter and whatever, and I got a lot of emails, phone calls, and all of them were positive and said we want this. So I know that there's some folks out there who probably don't want it, but all the people that reached out to me, definitely want it. And when I first came onto the council, that's the first call I got, was when are we gonna get curbside recycling, so.
I think it's something that we need to provide, a service that the city needs to provide. First-class city needs to provide this service.
And the city, from my view, we have seen, because it's been, what, 6 or 7 years since we last discussed this, and we had a full house of people who were
Totally against it.
totally against it. And so, without being unkind, I think we have probably moved past that crowd and the people who are now the mainstream of our citizens want it and so forth. So
I would say probably 90% of the people that move here have moved from a location that has it already. I don't have the hard figure on that, but I would say a great majority do. And are surprised, many of them, to find that we don't have it.
Well, there is an alternative. We can just put it on for the next agenda and vote for it. But that's an option.
well,
Then again,
you
you're
know,
gonna see those 100 and something people show up again, it's going, what are you doing?
you know, it's not a, you know, at most, we're probably talking about $3.
$3, yeah.
And,
Last time we looked at it, it was $5, so it's gone down $2.
yeah. And,
Don't completely get the $3
Yeah.
figure ingrained in there
I understand.
until I know for
Yeah.
sure.
But, you know, I think that it's something that our people would welcome. And I don't see it as a real significant thing. And if we, you know, can soften the blow on those low-income seniors, then I think we're probably in pretty good shape.
I would just, I would ask the council to be cautious of moving too quickly, and that we do have some time to think about it, get all of the information to everybody that lives here, so that everybody can be heard, that wants to be heard, and we'll make a good decision whether we decide to do it, or we decide to put it before the people that live here and let them make the decision. You know, just, I know it's a small amount, $3 to $5, but when we do raise utility rates, I always hear from people, there are those that are on the fixed income, and you wouldn't think $5 makes a difference, but it does, and I think it's important to know that when everybody needs a little, it all adds up, and it becomes a lot. And just some of the things I had been thinking about, you know, the state has $1.3 billion budget deficit. Was it Devin today announced more layoffs? Hearst layoffs, in all likelihood. I work for a state agency, so I'll probably be furloughed for some time. So it's just not getting in too big of a hurry, and we have some time. So I would just feel more comfortable if we let Mr. Eady have the time to gather all the information that he can, and maybe even look at a couple of the businesses that do the recycling and get a figure from them. If they're going to consider it, you know, it's going to be this amount or something better than what we have, just based upon what other communities are. What would it cost us? I mean, that's stuff that I would like to know before we.
I wouldn't be able to get a hard cost until we actually were to do a bid on it, or an RFP. That's the way most of the cities have gone with this. And it's my understanding, at least, that there's only 2, and perhaps 3, but really only 2 companies that will provide the service in the metro area. And we already doing business, and that company has most of the cities in the metro. So I think that figure that the other cities are paying is good, but I don't know it absolutely.
We have one person signed up on this, James Morris.
It's my privilege to talk to you. I'm one of the relatively new citizens. We've been here about 3.5 years, and we came from a city 1/3 the size of this one in Kansas, and they had curbside recycling, just as you've talked about. Single stream, it worked out very well. It was very controversial at first, but then we were one of those cities that was in the 85 to 95% rate, and it was amazing that within certainly 6 months, why don't we have it the old way just dropped out of the city vernacular. It just didn't show up anymore. But we did have some controversy with that, and we did help our senior citizens and those that were without. One of the things that we found is there was so much recycling that we had a bi-month or every other week pickup, just out of the same carts, just proposed. We also found a benefit that the amount of trash going to the normal was significantly reduced. So we had a few people that didn't want to go to the new one and maintain 2 carts. But that was a very rare thing. Mostly they went to 1 cart, and then even in Wichita, an even bigger city, they have an option for even smaller carts for people that are just not throwing away that much stuff, like our older citizens and those that are poor. There's more than one way of doing the given thing, and we found this to be a very good thing, very enjoyable. We've seen other systems done, and without a doubt, the single stream is the easiest to participate, and like it. We use the current facility, but we would recycle even more if we got to take it right from our doorstep. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I didn't tell everybody you had to sign up to speak, so I'm going to open it up. Anybody else want to speak on it?
Hello, Mayor, City Council. I'm Leslie Bonebrake.
I'm Memory Taylor. We came up about 2 years ago. Probably a lot more gray hair than I had last time, so you may not remember us.
Still just as lovely.
But, you know, we just wanted to speak about the phenomenal amount of growth and how many people up here have supported it from the get-go. And, you know, we're both moms of small children, full-time jobs, we're part of the PTA, and really busy. And on our end, we haven't had time to go out and push it like we would have, the More Recycling Coalition. But we've seen it just grow and grow. I mean, with little to no effort. I mean, honestly. I mean, if we may make the occasional phone call or the irritating, you know, email or something, but I mean, people just join it, and it was really exciting to see all of the seed of green. Just people who had, you know, maybe very little time to know, but want to come and support it. And I think that you are going to have a little bit of blowback, but like the gentleman said earlier, the most part, people want it. I mean, if you go to our recycling page, and I'm not sure how many people have actually been to it, but you can go to More Recycling Coalition, and you've got people saying that they'll pay $5 a month to have it, you know? So, I mean, it's there, and it's ready. We're ready. 7 years has been a long time.
They always say that until they get the bill.
And then they call you.
Yeah.
Well, if you talk to the gentlemen who work at the recycling center over this Christmas, what a mess they had to come back to. There was just, you know, boxes and plastic and wrapping paper just piled up as high as the building. I think it was about 4 dumpsters worth of people trying to recycle who weren't able to when they needed to. Part of their pricing, a lot of people have 2 poly carts, and you pay an extra $5 a month for that.
Yeah.
We got rid of our poly cart this year, our second one, because I've been recycling for years. I barely set thank you. I barely set that out, probably once every 3 weeks full to get picked up by the city and more. So actually, people who do go with the full-size cart for bi-monthly recycling will be saving about approximately $1.05 a month if they go with this. Also, I'd like to see the recycle center stay open as it is. I think we should expand what they take in to electronics, new light bulbs since they have mercury in them, and other things you don't want to paint, things you don't want to throw in the landfill. The landfill's doubled in size over there by Crossroads Mall since we've had the tornadic activity. We just can't throw the trash on the ground anymore, you know. We need to take care of what we're putting out and be accountable for things we bring into our homes. That goes also with our waterways. We need to treat the water like we might have to drink it one day. And I'm really happy to see the mayor and the council and all of our citizens and constituency for backing this up finally. Even though it took 7 years, that's how government goes.
It takes 3 years to get a sidewalk put in,
It does.
Hopefully
and
this-
everybody wants those.
Have you seen the sidewalk printing machine? They have one in Germany. They're nice. That's all I have to say. Thank you for hearing us.
Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, come on, everybody on the internet told me they wanted this. There's only 2 people signed up this week.
Just
I'm assuming if they're in green, that means they're for it.
just one comment, Mayor. We do contract with the city of Oklahoma City for people to be able to take their household hazardous waste to Oklahoma City's facility. Implementing one of those facilities here is just very cost prohibitive to become one of those facilities. But we do provide that cost for a certain amount at no cost to our citizens. It is at Southwest 15th in Portland, but you go there once a year or whatever. So we do provide that service even though it's not at our own facility.
That's where you get rid of paint cans.
Paint, anything that's considered household hazardous waste. So just remind folks of that. We do have, Elizabeth, at least once a year, maybe twice a year, we have the recycling day, and the next one's April something. When is that? Somebody else?
It's April 16th, I believe.
It's in April, I know, where they come out and they take the electronics and that sort of thing. So we don't have it regularly there, but we have those a couple of times a year. So we're working towards it, but the big issue is the curbside at this point.
Okay.
What kind of motion do we need?
Do you want to direct staff to come back with, like Mark said, accurate figures and to the next meeting and see where can you do it in 2 weeks?
No,
It's going to take them longer to give us I guess we want to put it out for proposal for bid.
I think that would be putting the cart before the horse right now. We need to
Okay.
probably have more information or better information as to, from Mark's perspective anyway, to a little further into the preliminary budget process at least. And we'll be good into the budget in April, on into April. And then at that time, I think we could give you an idea, a better idea as to what we think the budget will look like. And I'll have more conversations with the provider to see if I can narrow that down a little bit. I don't think it's going to be much different than $3 a month, but about that. And then you'll still have time either to go ahead and implement it and or to call an election.
So if we could find out too when those dates would be potential to
The
put it on
election.
there.
Yeah,
Because I agree with you, I think the November date may not be a good date with everything else that's gonna be on
And
there.
there's typically state questions on there. There's a lot of things like that that would, to some extent, convolute the issue perhaps. And I don't want to see one of our own issues or someone else's question taint, if you will, one or the other of the issues that are going to be out there.
Agree.
Okay.
So just direct staff to look into it some more. I guess there's really not a motion necessary if you don't even want to do one. But
All right. Anybody else want to speak on it? Anybody opposed to it? That's a first. All right, we're getting closer. Okay, we'll move on to the next item. So staff is going to proceed as directed. All right.
proceed as the discussion.
Okay, thank you. Item number 4 is consider approval of a change order for adverse weather days at Central Park with the Atlas General Contractors in the amount of $151,741.90.
Mayor Anthony McDermott is our architect on this project, and he's going to explain this to you.
Mayor, City Council, it's a pleasure to be before you again this evening. I wanted to explain a little bit about the change order procedure for this project. We have had several, both adding cost to the project and deducting cost from the project. So it is very normal in the course of a big project like this for change orders to occur. I wanted to come and explain this one because it's not readily understood by most people that the contractor documents adverse weather days, both in terms of rain and in terms of temperature. The adverse weather affects their operations, obviously. When it's extraordinarily wet or it's very cold, activities that would normally take place in the critical path of the project are delayed. So, for instance, if it rains several inches in a day, which occurs many times, several times last year. Last year was the wettest year in Oklahoma history, I believe, ever since records have been taken. So we have had to deal with that. When there's an extreme rain day, it impacts the schedule not just one day, but several days. Obviously, there has to be a drying out period. And in a similar way, when we have very cold temperatures, then you cannot pour concrete, you cannot lay masonry because you have freezing water. So, to get to the bottom line, we have had a claim for adverse weather from the contractor of 124 days, and that equates to an overhead burden on the contractor for just over $150,000. I've reviewed the Mesonet information, which comes out of Norman and is the best and most accurate information we have on the weather. I believe the contractor is entitled to those adverse weather days, and that's why I recommend we accept the
Mr. McDermott, is this the first building they ever built?
No, it's not.
Then they know what the weather is in Oklahoma, right?
Sure.
Then when we take a bid, I expect them to stick with the price that they bid.
You could do that on a project that was, say, an indoor project where you have controlled weather environment, but we did have extraordinary weather events last year. And it is very...
This is more Oklahoma. Did they not expect extraordinary weather?
Well, they haven't. Actually, we did have a tornadic event that ripped part of the roof off, and they've not claimed a adverse weather day for that. No one likes to see change orders. No one wants the project to be delayed, but it's an industry standard. All major contracting entities accept that there are adverse weather conditions, and the contractor can't be expected to absorb those additional costs.
And there's a contingency built in. Are we still within that contingency for the project?
Yes, we are. Our total change orders for this project are right around 1%, which is extraordinarily low for a project of this size and this complexity.
So we're still under the 10% contingency.
Yes.
Okay. You should have started out with that.
I'm an architect.
We have been very fortunate on this project that the day-to-day change orders have been very, very nominal.
Well, it's a huge project. I understand that.
It is a huge project, and this was a little bit new to us because the big major projects that we've done in the past have been done with construction management. And under construction management, you're paying those fees as you go as a percentage of the cost of the construction, whether they're working or not. It's the same concept with this. It's just this was a hard bid project. And so we're not paying their overhead other than we are as a part of the overall.
But when it rains, they send their workers home. So.
But the overhead on the project still continues. The superintendent, the project superintendent, the project manager, those guys that are on the job every day are salaried employees.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve this.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Would you call the vote?
David Roberts,
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes. Item carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5 is considered rejecting bid number 1516-10, Public Works on-demand traffic signal construction services for city staff to revise bid specifications.
Mayor and Council, the bid specifications were
written and needed to be revised. They were written all as one section. Staff recommends rejecting all the bids to be revised into a three-part section to include traffic signalization, street striping, and construction signage. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to
Motion
approve.
that we reject these bids.
All right, thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
David Roberts,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 6 is consider awarding bid number 1516011, construction services for demolition for Royal Park Development Track to K&M District Services LLC in the amount of $88,000.
Mayor and Council, we submitted bid proposals for demolition services for Rural Park Development, which is the redevelopment project the city is taking on at 17th and Janeway. We received 6 qualified bids for this service. The demo includes the removal of all 4 structures that are on site, removal of all debris, removal of all the streets and approaches, and removal of the pool that's at the office and clubhouse. At the end, the entire site will be graded so we can maintain it with a brush hog and mow it while the site's being planned, developed, and until we get in there to develop the property. Staff recommends awarding the bid to the lowest and responsible bidder, to Can-Am Dirt Services.
Okay, does this include the asbestos removal, or was that already done?
The asbestos removal, you heard a couple of council meetings ago. They have completed all the asbestos removal last week, and
So
the
this
state
is-
inspectors finalized that, so the buildings are ready to be removed, and the asbestos has been remediated and taken care of.
Great,
Make a motion to approve.
okay, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
David Roberts,
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes.
Thank
Item carries. Item number 7 is consider extending the temporary employee services contract with One Staffing Group USA Limited for 1 year with no increase in rates.
Mayor and Council, we've been doing business with First Staffing for a while now. We're very satisfied with their service. We've been getting some decent employees, and we really don't have any complaints.
So you're happy with those guys?
Yes.
I know a couple of years we had problems getting
Well,
people,
that was.
not these guys.
Yeah, right.
Different group.
Yes.
Okay. All right, anybody want to make a motion?
Move to approve.
All right, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
David Roberts,
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item
Thank you.
carries. Thank you. Item number 8 is consider a renewable contract for the July 4th pyrotechnic production in the amount of $45,000 with ARC Pyrotechnics.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, this item is for our annual fireworks show that we do on July 4th at Buck Thomas Park. Extreme Pyrotechnics, which has done the show the last few years, they no longer do shows in Oklahoma. ARC Pyrotechnics, which this contract would be with, split from Extreme, so we have the same staff, the same expertise, the same quality show that we feel if you approve this contract with them. This is a budgeted item, and it's funded at the same level as we did last year. So we'd recommend approval, and I'll be happy to take any questions you might have.
Mr. Eady, you feel, we got our sales tax report, and that was up. So you feel confident that things are going well, and more just, it's hard to, you know, it's $45,000. That's somebody's salary for a year, and we're gonna spend it in 15 minutes, which is an amazing fireworks show. But you feel good about this, obviously, or?
Yes, I mean, yes, I think if we were to not do it, we would hear a lot about that. It's probably one of the signature events that we have in town, and I think it's very much worth the expenditure, even though it is a significant amount of money.
The PR that we get from this is just amazing.
It would be difficult to quantify that in terms of dollars or even the sales tax results from it, but it is a great event, and we do get a lot of positive comments from it every year, and I'm not even sure there's a way to estimate how many thousands of people are out there, but a lot.
I kind of feel like Mark does, it's 2 police cars, but.
We did, we just maybe.
Scale it back.
Or just, or just be creative maybe next year and see if there's some, because it does draw thousands of people, and maybe there's some corporation that would be interested in possibly sponsoring it, part of it anyways. But I would make a motion that we approve the item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote if there's any others? If there's no
David Roberts,
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Thank you. At this time, we'll recess the city council meeting and convene the Moore Public Works Authority meeting. On the consent docket, item A is receive and approve the minutes of the regular Moore Public Works Authority meeting held February 1st, 2016. Item B, approve and ratify claims and expenditures for FY 2015-2016 in the amount of $984,325.52.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
David Roberts,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. At this time, we will recess the Moore Public Works Authority meeting and convene the Moore Risk Management meeting. Item number 10 is the consent docket. Item A is receive and approve the minutes of the regular Moore Risk Management meeting held February 1st, 2016. Item B is approve and ratify claims and expenditures for FY 2015-2016 in the amount of $198,893.91.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Would you call for the vote, please?
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
David Roberts,
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes. At this time, we'll recess the Moore Risk Management meeting and convene the Moore Economic Development Authority meeting. Terry's not here. Is that you, Dave? Okay.
Item, would the clerk call the roll, please?
Melissa Hunt,
Here.
Glenn Lewis,
Here.
Mark Ham,
Here.
Jason Blair,
Here.
David Roberts.
Here. Item 12 is the consent docket. Item A is to receive and approve the minutes of the regular Moore Economic Development Authority meeting held January the 19th, 2016.
A motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Glenn Lewis,
Yes.
David Roberts,
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
At this time, we will recess the Moore Economic Development Authority meeting and reconvene the city council meeting.
All right, thank you. Item 13 is new business. Let the record reflect that all the members that were present before are still present. Item A is citizens forum for items not on the agenda. There's no one signed up to speak. Would anyone like to? Oh, come on, this is most people we've had in months. Okay. All right, item B is items from, do what? Sure.
Mr. Mayor, this is just about something that brought up on the fireworks, just made me think of this. With the new dog park going in at Buck Thomas, try to make sure it's closed that night.
That's a
lot of
really good
scared
idea.
dogs.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea to close he said to close the dog park on July 4th, since it's right next to where we shoot the fireworks. Yeah, very good point. Thank you so much. Item B is items from the city council or trustees.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
over the last several weeks, maybe, probably dating back even to before the end of the year, I've had several people approach me about the fees, the usage fees on our new facility at Central Park. And, it's, as Mark may have mentioned, that we're pretty much in the midst of an economic downturn. And fortunately, it has not affected the city's revenue to any great extent. But I would like to see the city staff look at that fee schedule again and see if there's some adjustments that we can make in there to help attract people to that facility, because I think right now we may not be getting the traffic that we want.
We are a little bit higher than I anticipated it to be, especially since the voters here are paying off the bonds as well to build the thing. And I get a lot of calls on that too.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
You know, and I
How do you
try to
guys feel?
explain to people that the bonds really just cover the capital expenditures
The building.
for the building, and the fees cover the operation of that building and so forth. But maybe somewhere or another we can squeeze a little bit of money out of the budget to cover a little bit of those costs and lower the fee schedule some.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I feel the same way. I think it's a little high.
For an individual, I think it's $32 a month, is that correct? And I know that's an expense, but unless you're going to 10 Gym or Planet Fitness, which is $10 or $20 a month, I don't think it's that much to be able to use the facility, to be able to use the aquatic center for as much as you want. You get daycare. I mean, I assume the city staff really looked at what it was going to cost to run the facility. And so certainly if we can lower the cost, that would be great. But I don't know that I think the cost is that absorbent when you look at what you get for using the facility.
Well, Dave and I go to 10 Gym. So.
Well, and I go to Planet Fitness. I go to Planet Fitness, but if I had my son's off at college, but to do a family plan at $50 a month, I mean, that's what you pay when you go to the Y or any of those places to get all those facilities. I do think it's somewhat a reasonable price. So, and I think some of the voters that are complaining assumed they were going to be able to use the facility for free, and maybe that's our fault for not expressing that it was just to pay for the capital. I mean, obviously it costs a lot of money to run that facility, and therefore there has to be a fee associated with it. So certainly if we can look at lowering it, but I don't know if it's fair to say that it's too high. I mean, obviously the lower we can get it, the better for our citizens, but I do think they get a lot for that cost.
And I do remember when the staff wrote in the spreadsheet comparing costs and so forth, I felt fairly comfortable with it, but I'd just like to...
It's certainly worth looking at, I agree. But
yeah, I think, I see the people complaining about it costing much. Well, if it costs too much, don't go. It would be the normal response, but at the same time, we're spending $50 million of taxpayer money to build this facility. Now we're going to charge them $50 a month to do it. You don't have to pay that if you go to the YMCA. It's $50 a month to do it, and that covers the building and all. So, but now we're asking them to pay for the building as well as join. So that's a little bit higher. That's a lot higher, because you're adding an extra $125 a year to the property tax as the average home.
And I will relate this experience. I was having my vehicle serviced, and the young man who was the service writer was talking to me, and we got to talking. He said he lived in Moore and so forth, so and I identified myself, and he brought the subject up, and he didn't have good information, because he was talking about a fee schedule that was higher than what ours matter of fact, I came back by and picked up one because I wanted to address what's fresh on my mind. But the PR aspect of it may be our biggest weakness on it. But, you know, just to review it so that citizens know that we've looked at it, and then to make it clear exactly what money is going where, and that they're, you know.
Something else we might can do is actually talk to the YMCA and see if they could partner up with us, because they don't have anything anymore. They got it in Edmond, they got it in South Oklahoma City, they got it in downtown Oklahoma City, but there's nothing here. And it's like, why are they not here? So let's maybe have a meeting with them and say, let's get together on this and see if we can cut our cost by them helping out. So, I mean, we are definitely a contributor, you know, to the people at the YMCA through our all of our disasters that we've had and fundraising for United Way. That's their biggest group. So
We went on a tour last week of the, is that last week?
Yeah.
That's right.
Of the facility, and it looks great. And just the other things that the city staff and Tom and his team are doing as far as birthday parties, being able to rent the facility,
Weddings.
weddings, yeah, and banquets, just other ways that the city could generate revenue to keep the costs reasonable as possible. I know my share through the property tax is $1.90 a month, and that's, so it's not always great to have a big house. If you do, you are going to pay, but you know, a great deal from my perspective. But if the city can, I don't know. I mean, I agree with Melissa. I think when you guys presented it to us, you've been working really hard to make it as low as possible, because this isn't, we're not making money on this.
Promise you we're not making
Yeah, I was
money.
gonna say, isn't the budget supplementing some of it? It's not even covering all the costs,
Right.
so it's something to keep in mind.
We can-
Basically, if the city wants to eat more of the
That's what it boils down to. How much are you all willing, as a city council, to subsidize the operation of the facility? And we can have those discussions, and we had them, we can have them again, certainly during the budget process. That's what that process is for, to establish priorities, to determine spending, and you all make those final decisions. The issue we have now is we're open in 30 or 45 days. The marketing materials are out there for the prices. I don't think we can make any good decisions prior to that, but we can definitely look at that, and then if it's determined that we want to reduce it across the board by 20% or something, then we can do that.
We can just review the thing and.
But we definitely can review that. I mean, Todd's got information, that's good information as far as cost. Those are projected costs because we haven't opened yet. We don't know exactly what operating costs are going to be. But the commitment we made to you then, and we'll make to you and the citizens now, is that it's no more than going to break even. It's probably going to be less than that. It's not the intent to make any money off of this, but it is the intent for the users of the facility to pay for the operating cost. Because there are competing interests in the budget, like our police and fire unions and everything else that we do, that if you take away from operations at the rec center, you're going to be taken away from others to put over here. So you all know that. But we can definitely look at that during the process, budget process.
okay.
I just have a quick item. As driving through the city today and saw over in the area of Barber and Maine, I think that's the Armstrong edition. Is that right, Stan?
Yes.
That where the city was over there doing some replacing of water lines, sewer lines,
Water lines.
which, you know, that addition was built back in the 50s. So it's just great to see the city doing things in older neighborhoods that have been here for years. And this is, I know we just gone through an election cycle, talk of sidewalks and all of that, which is great. We want that. But the city does a lot of things that are underground that really are needed and aren't seen once they're covered up. And then we're even going in there after that and replacing those blacktop streets. And I think there's going to be concrete So it's a great thing, and I think part of that, some of that was the CDBG funding.
The CDBG funds are paying for the water launch. Yes.
Okay, so that's great, and just appreciate the city doing the best it can to stretch its resources across all 23 square miles and try to take care of everybody. Thank you, guys.
Anybody else? Okay. Any items from the city manager or trust manager?
No.
We already spent all your money tonight.
You spent more than what I have, Mayor, but that's all right.
That's what we do. At some point, the citizens have to have a break. So, it's true. All right. Item 14 is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thanks. Could you call for the vote, please?
David Roberts,
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes. We're adjourned.